is nothing but simply you people write it as, so whenever limits is nothing but simply you remember that you people write it as limit x tends to a, f of x is equal L, right? So this is simply we write it as a limit of a function. So it means whenever x is approaches to a, f of x is approaches to L. So x is approaches to a in the sense not exactly a, just it approaches to the neighborhood of a. So neighborhood is nothing but generally people say that, so you people when you are staying in your home, so neighbors are there. So in the same way here also will say that x is approaches to the neighborhood of a and the function is approaches to a limit value, that one simply we call as a limit. And here people learn that one left hand limit and right hand limit. Limit x tends to a minus f of x is equal to limit x tends to a plus f of x. Limit x tends to a plus f of x, simply we say that limit exists, right? Left hand limit we call this one and this one we call as the right hand limit. When these two are equal, simply we'll say that limit exists, we said. In the same way, next continuity. So continuity is nothing but what we'll say here, limit x tends to a, f of x is equal L. Sorry, f of x is equal f of a. At a point a we are discussing about the continuity. If this condition satisfies, simply we'll say that that function is continuous at a point a. So here also same thing, if the limit value is equal to the functional value at a point a, then we'll say that that function is continuous at a point a. And please remember that here we are discussing about, so this is x is approaches to the neighborhood of a and the function is having a some limit value, and that limit value should be equal to the functional value. And here also we'll say that left hand continuous and right hand continuous. Limit x tends to a minus f of x is equal limit x tends to a plus f of x. Limit x tends to a minus f of x is equal limit x tends to a plus f of x, which is equal f of a. It means left hand continuous value is equal to right hand continuous value, which should be equal to the functional value at a point a. Then we'll say that that is continuous at a point a. Okay, so this is about f of x is continuous at a point a. And next derivatives also you people learn that one. So derivatives is nothing but generally you people write it as f dash of a is equal limit x tends to a or h tends to 0. You people learn that f of x plus h minus f of h by x, f of a. Sorry, f of a by x. So this is also you people learn the derivatives. First principle generally we call it as. And you people have to know the derivatives formulas here. So UV rule and next sin x cos x and next u by v product rule, coefficient rule. All these things you should know that. Okay. So here it is. First we'll see that introduction about that and continuity and what is meant by differentiability. And next your syllabus starts from mean value theorems. Okay. So this is first part. And second part is here it is having special functions, and then that special functions the people learn that one beta and gamma functions. Okay, so these are the two parts we have in third unit. First part is mean value theorems and second part is special functions. In that mean value theorems, I hope you some of the people learn these things in your intermediate level, right? Rolle's theorem, Lagrange's mean value theorem, Cauchy's mean value theorem, Taylor's theorem. So these are the theorems you people will learn that one. Don't worry about it. So you have only statements you people will learn that, and by using that statements you should solve the problems. And next special functions you people learned here beta and gamma functions. Okay, of course Bessel's, Lagrange, Legendary, so many special functions are there, but you people learned only two functions in as per your syllabus, beta and gamma functions. Okay, so these are the two you people will learn here. Okay, so first up to mid exams most probably you have Rolle's theorem, Lagrange's and Cauchy's mean value theorem. So up to your syllabus will be up to this one. After completion of the mid, we'll see the Taylor's as well as special functions. Okay, so here it is. First we'll see that introduction of about this calculus of single variable. So here it is, will be all those things. So here it is, first one, the roots of the given function as well as equality or inequality of any two or more than two functions can be determined using mean value theorems. So here we are going to learn mean value theorems. By using those mean value theorems, we can find the roots for those functions, as well as that is for equality or inequality of two or more functions. But here it is, we are learning specifically single variable. So single variable is nothing but it is having only one variable we discuss. It means we'll take the functions here, single variable functions, f of x. These theorems are here. What are those theorems we are going to learn? Rolle's theorem, Lagrange's mean value theorem, Cauchy's mean value theorem. Of course, next to generalized mean value theorems also people will get. Generalized mean value theorems are nothing but Taylor's and Maclaurin's theorems. Those three theorems, two theorems we call as generalized mean value theorems. Okay. So next, first we see that continuity and differentiable functions. So what we said here it is, when we say that a function is said to be continuous at x is equal to a, at a specific point we are saying, so here it is, limit x tends to a minus f of x is equal, limit x tends to a plus f of x is equal f of a, which is equal limit x tends to a f of x. It means left hand continuous as well as right hand continuous. So this one we call as left hand continuous, and this is we call as right hand continuous. When these two are equal, then we'll say that that limit exists. Okay, and that limit value should be equal to the functional value at a specific point a. Then we call that function is a continuous function at a point x is equal to a. Is there any difference between at a point and an interval? Is there any difference? At a point, in the sense we are discussing about only that particular point, and a interval is nothing but entire interval we need to check each and every point. Simple example, if I am taking ECB or triply, so particularly I am saying as 461 or 465, okay, or 201. So that is nothing but a specific person, specific roll number. That is nothing but continuous at a specific point. Okay, and interval is nothing but total ECB or total triply. So if I am saying about ECB in the sense, it starts from 461 to 4C0, right? So I should check each and every person of the percentage. Suppose, so percentage I am taking as a continuous one. So I need to check each and every person, 461, 462, 463. Like that, I should check each and every person till C0. Then only I can say that that function is continuous in the entire ECB or entire percentages of ECB. In the same way, triply from 201 to 240. Okay, so like that, that is for interval. At a specific point is nothing but who is the highest pass percentage, highest percentage got in ECB. That is nothing but only one person. Suppose one person is there, then simply we can say that roll number 490, okay, is the highest pass percentage. So then we can say that that is continuous at a specific point. See the differences between that. Particularly point is nothing but only one. Interval is nothing but that is having a range. Okay, so range it is having from lower to upper. Okay, so here it is for saying continuous is nothing but these two should be exist, and those two must be equal to the functional value at a specific point. Okay, and one more thing here, simply will say that if we are saying a function is differentiable in the sense, obviously that is continuous, and obviously limit also exists. Okay, this direction is possible. If you are saying a function is differentiable, obviously that function is continuous and limit also exists. But converse is not, need not be true. Converse in the sense, limit may exist, but that function may not be continuous, and that function may be continuous, but that function may not be differentiable. Just for knowing this, these are things. Okay, so limit exists, right? Then it may not be continuous, but a function is continuous, but it may not be differentiable. Okay, so these are things, just basics what you learned already in your intermediate level. So just we are revising that once. Okay, so continuous. Okay, and next we are going to see that differentiable, and here also we have left hand derivative and right hand derivative. So if those two are equal, then we'll say that that function is derivable or differentiable at a point x is equal to a. So what is that formula we are using? Limit x tends to a minus f of x minus f of a by x minus a. So this is we called as left hand derivative, and this is we called as right hand derivative. Okay, left hand derivative and right hand derivative. If those two are equal, then we'll say that the function is differentiable at that particular point A. Okay, next one, if a function is finitely differentiable in the interval AB, then it is continuous in the interval AB. Just now what we said, every differentiable function is continuous. So this is the statement, every differentiable function is continuous in the given interval, but the converse need not be true. Okay, it means every continuous function need not be differentiable. Okay, so that one also we'll see, like examples we'll get it, that one. Okay, so function is differentiable, but it may not, it may be continuous, but continuous function need not be differentiable. Okay, so that only here we said. And next here it is, in the problems we have to see that whether the functions are continuous or not, differentiable or not. How we'll say that one? So for that we are saying simply algebraic, trigonometric, inverse trigonometric, logarithmic and exponential functions are ordinarily continuous and differentiable, okay, with some exemptions. It means based on the interval we'll say that. Generally we'll say that polynomials, trigonometric one, algebraic one, sorry, exponential one, logarithmic one, all these functions are continuous as well as derivable. Okay, but based on the interval. So if based on the interval we'll say that whether it is continuous or not, but generally we are saying yes, those are all continuous as well as differentiable. And next, addition, subtraction, product and quotient of two or more continuous and differentiable functions are also continuous and differentiable. It means if the function is consisting of the two terms, two functions it is having, and those two functions are continuous, obviously the entire function is continuous. Suppose like as just example we can see that sine x by e power x. Okay, so this is one function, trigonometric one, and this is a exponential function. Okay, so this is a continuous function and this is also continuous one. Okay, the quotient of these two functions is also continuous. So like that, so that only they said here. In the same way here it is having x plus sine x. Okay, so x plus sine x, so this is also algebraic one and this is a trigonometric one, and we are joining those two functions with plus addition. So this is a continuous and this is continuous, sum of two continuous functions again continuous. Okay, so that only here they said. So product or addition, subtraction and quotient division are continuous functions, obviously the entire function is also continuous and differentiable. Next, f of x and f dash of x are differentiable and continuous if f double dash of exists. So it means here it is, f dash of x is representing one time derivative of the function and f double dash of x is nothing but two times derivative of this function. If this exists, and simply we can say that these two are continuous as well as differentiable. Okay, next, a function f of x is said to be differentiable if its derivative is neither indeterminate nor infinite. Okay, so indeterminate in the sense are neither nor. So neither nor is nothing but both should not be there. So it means infinity should not come as well as indeterminate one, like as infinity by infinity, okay, 0 by 0, those things we call as a indeterminate terms. Okay, those should not come. If it comes, then we'll say that those are not differentiable. Okay, now Rolle's theorem. So here onwards exactly your syllabus starts. And one more important thing is here it is, including statements also very important. Straight Rolle's theorem, Lagrange's mean value theorem, Cauchy's mean value theorem, Taylor's theorem. So statements very important, and geometrical interpretations also important. Okay, for short answers they may ask that one. State Rolle's theorem, state Lagrange's mean value theorem. So let us see the statement of this one. Let f of x be a function. So here they said the function, and what we are choosing, that function is nothing but, obviously it is having a domain as well as codomain. So here we are choosing the domain is nothing but closed interval a comma b to real number. Let f be a function, or f of x be a function which is mapping from closed interval a comma b to R. So then such that in the sense it should satisfy these conditions. What are those conditions? First one is the function is continuous in the closed interval a comma b. It means that whatever the interval you are choosing, in that interval that function must be continuous. So continuous in the sense the curve must be continuous without breaks. Okay, so that is continuous first condition. And second one, f of x is differentiable in the open interval open interval a comma b. Why here it is closed interval and here it is open interval? Is there any difference? Anyone? So closed interval and open interval here. So f of x is continuous in the closed interval a comma b, and f of x is differentiable in the open interval a comma b. So here it is why we are saying open interval, in the sense, if we are saying differentiable is nothing but it is having a unique tangent has to be there. But if we are choosing closed interval a comma b, you will get multiple tangents in that. Suppose here it is having like as, so here it is, I am taking this is the curve, I am choosing y is equal to f of x, this is the curve, and I chosen continuous curve, this is okay, and here it is starting from which is in a and b. Okay, so that function is continuous from a to b. Okay, so this is the first one. And next, derivable in open interval. Why? Because here it is having, if you draw a tangents, how many tangents you are getting? Number of tangents you are getting. Okay, so but derivative, in the sense, it is having a unique tangent must be there. Okay, so only one tangent must be there, but here it is we are getting multiple tangents. So for that, that is open interval. So open interval, in the sense, what is the difference between closed interval and open interval? So closed interval is nothing but including those a less than or equal to x less than or equal to b. This is closed interval. And open interval is nothing but a less than x less than b. Is there any difference between these two? Suppose I am saying as, suppose 461 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 4c0 ECB, and 202 less than, sorry, 200 less than x less than 241, not this are equal. Is there any difference between these two? 461 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 4c0. I am saying this is nothing but ECB, and 200 less than x less than 241. I am saying this is about triple. Is there any difference between this? So here it is, ECB is nothing but what we are saying, including 461 and including C0 between those things. Okay, that is for ECB. And triple is nothing but here it is having what I am saying, 200 less than x less than 241. It means we are excluding of these two. 200 should not be included in that, as well as 241 should not be included in that. Only between that we have to choose the values. It means 201 onwards 240. Okay, that is triple. Okay, is it clear? So this is nothing but closed interval, and this is nothing but open interval. So closed interval 461 comma 4c0, and open interval 200 comma 241. Okay, so this is closed and open. Okay, so that is the difference. So closed interval, in the sense, those points include, and open interval is nothing but excluding of those points. Okay, and here it is why we are not choosing closed interval for derivative. Multiple tangents are existing at starting and end points, so for that we are not considering those points. We are discussing about the derivatives only between those 2 points. Okay, but continuous starting to ending, that is continuous one. Okay, that's why here it is closed interval. And next, what they are saying, third point, here it is we are saying f of a is equal f of b. So these are the 3 conditions. It means functional value of at a should be equal to the functional value of b. So if these 3 conditions satisfies, then only we'll say that Rolle's theorem is applicable. Okay, so clearly see that Rolle's theorem is applicable means it should satisfy 3 conditions. What are those 3 conditions here? First of all, the function must be continuous in the closed interval a comma b, and second one, the function must be derivable. It means derivative exists, or unique tangent has to be exist in the open interval a comma b. And third condition, f of a is equal f of b. It means the functional value at first starting is equal to the functional value at end value. Then we'll say that Rolle's theorem is applicable. Okay, if any one of these 3 conditions not satisfies the given function, then we'll say that Rolle's theorem is not applicable. Okay, so for applying Rolle's theorem, in the sense, these 3 conditions has to satisfies. if any one of these conditions, if suppose the function is continuous but not differentiable, then we can't apply Rolle's theorem. Or these two conditions satisfies but this condition is not applicable, not satisfying, then also we can't apply Rolle's theorem. If we are saying Rolle's theorem is nothing but, first of all, these three conditions has to satisfy, then only we'll say that Rolle's theorem is applicable. Okay. Okay, if it is applicable, then what we should do that? So how to verify that Rolle's theorem? Then there exists at least one point C in the open interval. Wait, Rolle's theorem, wait. So we'll see that problems, applications, we'll see that. So just for examples, we'll see that. Next problems are all are on Rolle's theorem only. Okay, first see the statement clear. Then there exists at least one point C in the open interval a comma b such that f dash of C is equal to 0. So in the sense there exists, in the sense we can use this symbol. So there exists at least one point C in the open interval a comma b such that f dash of C is equal 0. So what it means? So Rolle's theorem applicable, okay, for the function, but we should say that here it is verifying Rolle's theorem in the sense we should find the value of C at least in the sense there exists at least one point, at least in the sense greater than or equal to 1. Okay, it means at least one value of C should be lies between the interval what they gave. Okay, so what they gave A and B, in that the value of C must be in that at least one. So it may be number of points may exist, but at least one point should be in the interval, and that condition has to satisfy. What is that condition? F dash of C is equal 0. It means that after satisfying these conditions, you should take this one f dash of C equal to 0, and then you should find the points C. How many points? Number of points you may get it for C, but in that points at least one point should be in the interval what they mentioned. If it is in that one, then simply we'll say that that Rolle's theorem is verified. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, so clear about it. First Rolle's theorem, if you are doing in the sense, first you need to check whether the function is continuous, and second one if it is differentiable or not, and third one these two are equal or not. If these three conditions satisfies, then we'll say that Rolle's theorem is applicable, and then immediately verification you should do that. So verification in the sense you should take f dash of C equal to 0 and find the points for C. If at least one of the point is in the interval, then we'll say that Rolle's theorem is verified. Number of points may be exist for C, but at least one of the point, that may be 1 point or 2 points also must be in the interval, but at least one point should be in the interval, then we'll say that that is verified. Okay, so now we see that next one. So here it is, that only we wrote there may be more than 1 point C such that f dash of C equal to 0. What we said, not only 1 point, number of points may be exist, but at least 1 point should be in the interval. Next, the converse of the theorem is not true. That is, for some functions f dash of C equal to 0, but f of x may not satisfy in the conditions of Rolle's theorem. It means that derivative you can find and you can substitute the value, C value also you can get it, but conditions may not apply. Okay, so for that they give one example. Here it is. So f of x is equal to x minus 3 into x minus 1 whole power 2 by 3, and what is the interval here? The interval is 0 to 10. So this is the interval they give. A equal to 0 and B is equal to 10. So derivative we calculated. So derivative means the derivative of x, d by dx of x is 1 and x minus 3 as it is, and the derivative of this one 2 by 3 into x minus 1 whole power minus 1 by 3, and the derivative of x minus 1 is 1. And then what we got it here, 3 both will cancel, and what we get it here, 1 minus 2 into x minus 1 whole power minus 1 by 3. So this is equal 1 minus 2 by x minus 1 whole power 1 by 3. So if you find the derivative, we got it. And if you simplify this one, so f dash of C equal to 0, it means 1 minus 2 by C minus 1 whole power 1 by 3 is equal to 0. Okay, so like this we can write, and then you can find the value of C. if you find the value, here it is, we got it as C. C value we got it. But is the derivative exist in the open interval 0 comma 10? Derivative exists. What I said, if you are discussing about the interval in the sense, each and every point should satisfy, right? Each and every point in the sense, here it is having 0 to 10. So if you are taking 1, if I substituted in place of x as 1, what I get here? 1 minus 1, 0. So 1 minus 2 by 0. So anything by 0 is nothing but infinity, right? So 1 minus infinity is nothing but obviously infinity. What we said? It should not be infinite. That should be finite one. Infinity in the sense, obviously, that is not derivative exist in this interval. In this specific interval, that is not derivative exist. Okay. So this is the example for the above one. So it means f dash of c existed and c also we calculated. But conditions of Rolle's theorem doesn't satisfy. Why? Because it is x is equal to 1, the derivative of the function is infinity. So for that, this is the example for converse of that one. Okay, derivative may be existed, but conditions, c value existed, but condition of Rolle's theorem doesn't satisfy. Okay, so next. So let us see examples clearly that one. And next this is also very important. This is also included in your syllabus. Geometrical interpretation of Rolle's theorem. Okay, it means geometrically how you can say that Rolle's theorem. Okay, so there it is. We are choosing. So based on the curve, just by seeing the curve, we can say here. So here it is. What are the conditions we are taking? First, y is equal to f of x be a continuous curve, right? So y is equal to f of x I chosen. Okay, so this is the continuous curve. Y is equal to f of x, and that one is located in the interval a comma b, right? So this is nothing but a and this is nothing but b. First condition, okay, continuous curve, and this is next. Here it is, we are saying that is differentiable at open interval a comma b. So it means that if you are drawing a tangent anywhere in the curve, so here it is, we are getting only unique tangent, and the tangent we are taking at a point C. Okay, we are taking a point C, and here it is, the points of A is nothing but, so, and third condition what we are saying, f of A is equal to f of B. So this is nothing but the point A comma f of A, and this is the point, here it is, A comma, sorry, B comma f of B. B comma f of B, and we are saying these two are equal. So this is, these two are equal. So that is third condition. Now there exists at least one point C in the interval a comma B, in the interval a comma B, such that f dash of C is equal to 0. That one we should say here. So here it is, we are drawing a tangent, okay, slope of the tangent, and which is parallel to what? So which is parallel to which axis? Here it is x-axis, right? So this is parallel to x-axis. Whatever the tangent we draw here, that tangent is parallel to x-axis. So then slope of the tangent at the point C is equal, simply what we can say, that 0. Okay, so that is the geometrical interpretation of Rolle's theorem. First, what we chose in the conditions, the first function is continuous. So this is a continuous curve which is located between the points A and B. And second one, a unique tangent exists on the curve between A and B. That is nothing but at a point C. And next, third one, f of A is equal to f of B. Okay, so third condition, f of A is equal to f of B. Next, so after that, where it is, we are saying whatever the tangent we drawn here, that tangent is parallel to what? X-axis. So slope of the tangent is equal to 0 when it is parallel to x-axis. Okay, in the same way, same we chosen this one. So there we said no, there exists at least one point C, right? There exists C belongs to open interval a comma b. It means here it is, only one C existed. Okay, but here it is, if you see this curve, this is also continuous curve, right? Is there any breaks in that curve? No. So this is also continuous curve which is located in A and B, but here it is having how many points are existing? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So C values we got it as 5 values, and all these are values are parallel to x-axis. Obviously, f dash of c1 equal to 0, f dash of c2 equal to 0, f dash of c3 equal to 0, f dash of c4 equal to 0, and f dash of c5 is equal to 0. Okay, so that is the one. So this is only for one point. If number of points existed also, that condition satisfies. Okay, so if any one of those two conditions, suppose here it is, I chosen the curve like this. Okay, so this is the one. Of course tangents are existing for these curves, but is this a continuous one? Is this continuous one? So here it is. Can you say that this is a continuous one? No. Why? Because this is not a continuous one. So continuously in the sense, suppose I am saying as 461 and then 472 4C0. Okay. I'm saying this is ECB. Is this right? ECB 461 and next. So that is ECA, and this is also I'm saying like this splitting. So splitting is nothing but that is not a continuous one. Okay. So here it is. This is not a continuous curve. Is it clear about its geometrical interpretation? So geometrical interpretation means first what we are using the conditions. Based on that conditions, we are writing these curves, and then after that we are showing that f dash of c equal to 0 at 1c existed. If more than 1c existed, this is the curve. Okay, so you should write this entire part what we wrote it here. If they ask for geometrical interpretation, okay, geometrical interpretation of Rolle's theorem means you should write like this. Okay, next, working rule for verification of Rolle's theorem. So obviously what we discussed. First, the function should satisfy three conditions what we said. After it satisfies, then we have to choose f dash of c equal to 0, and then c values we should find. If any one of the point is not lies in that, sorry, if number of points may be existed, at least one point is lies in that interval, then we say that Rolle's theorem verified. If no point is in the interval, that is not verified. Okay, so this is the one. Let us see the problems here. So listen carefully. Problems, very important problems we are discussing, and I give after that homework problems. You people have to solve those problems also. Okay, so that is homework problems. So I already said. So here it is. First what they give. Verify Rolle's theorem for the function f of x is equal x minus a whole power m x minus b whole power n in the interval a comma b, where m comma n are positive integers. Okay, m comma n are positive integers. So verify in the sense, first it should satisfy three conditions. After satisfying those three conditions, we should verify. It means we should find the value of c which lies between in the interval a comma b. So here it is. First condition we are going to see, since m comma n are positive integers. And next, m comma n are positive integers, and the function being a polynomial. Is this a polynomial or not? So this is a function which is a polynomial, and already we said the polynomial function is a continuous function. So that's why we wrote here the polynomial function is continuous in the interval a comma b, and no need to check all the conditions. Okay, if it is a polynomial and if it is a that algebraic, trigonometric, and exponential, simply you can write directly. Okay, next, derivative we are going to calculate here. F dash of x is equal. So which formula we are going to apply here? We are going to apply UV formula, product formula. Why? Because here it is two functions we have. This is nothing but u, and this is nothing but v. So this is u function and this is v function. What is the formula we are using for product of uv? Product rule. Uv is equal, simply what we apply, u into dv by dx plus v into du by dx, uv dash plus vu dash. So this is the formula we are applying, product rule. So first we are writing u as this. As per this we chosen u, know. Next, dv by dx, it means the derivative of this one. So first we are applying, this is in the form of x power n notation. So n into x minus b whole power n minus 1. Of course, if you apply derivative for this x minus b, we get it as 1 minus 0 plus v as this. V is nothing but x minus b whole power n, and u derivative. So u is nothing but what we have, x minus a whole power m. This is nothing but we are choosing as u. So m into x minus a whole power m minus 1. Okay, now just we applied uv formula here, u into v dash, this is u, and this is nothing but v dash plus v into, and this is nothing but u dash. Now we are taking common terms from the entire one. So which one is the common one? I am taking common one as x minus a whole power m minus 1 and x minus b whole power n minus 1. So this is the term I am taking as common from the entire this one. Okay, if you observe this one, here it is having x minus b whole power n minus 1. So no need to write here, and n as it is I wrote. And next, but here it is I have only x minus a whole power m. Suppose here it is I added 1 and subtracted 1. Okay, then I took common only for x minus a whole power m minus 1. And what about remaining x minus a whole power 1? That one I wrote inside of that. Okay, next coming to second term, here it is x minus a whole power m minus 1. That one I took common, and next to m as it is. And next to here also same like as the previous step, minus 1 plus 1 I added. So here it is, I took common only for x minus b whole power n minus 1 and remaining x minus b whole power 1. Okay, so just I took the common term from these two terms, x minus a whole power m minus 1 and x minus b whole power n minus 1. And now we are going to simplify this one. We are not doing any changes in that, we are writing as this. Now we are multiplying the terms inside of that one, n into x minus n into a, that is nothing but an, plus m into x is nothing but mx minus bm. Next, we are not doing any changes in that, we wrote as it is the above step. Here it is. And now coming to this, here it is, if you observe this one, which one is the common in these two terms? X is the common one. So x I took common. So then what I got it here, m plus n, and remaining two terms, what we have the common one, only minus. So that minus I took common, minus of na plus mb. So here it is, m and n are positive integers, and then you can choose any values for m and n, you can substitute, the derivative exists. So for that simply we write f dash of exists for every value of x in open interval a comma b. And next, third condition, what is the third condition? F of a is equal to f of b or not. So here it is what we chosen, f of x. So f of x is nothing but we chosen as x minus a whole power m and x minus b whole power n. This one I chosen. So f of a is nothing but simply we can substitute in place of x as a. If I substituted here, what will get? A minus a whole power m and then a minus b whole power n. Here it is, a both will cancel. It means what we have remaining? 0. So 0 into anything? 0. So for that f of a equal to 0. And next f of b I chosen. So f of b is equal, here it is same as this, x minus a whole power m, and next b minus b whole power n. So b minus b whole power n. So b cancel and you will get it as 0. So 0 and anything is 0. So f of a I got 0 and f of b also I got 0. That's why here I wrote f of a is equal, f of b is equal 0. So three conditions satisfies, right? So simply we can write, thus f of x satisfies all the conditions of Rolle's theorem. Now we need to do verification. So verification in the sense, simply you have to write the statement, there exists at least one point C in open interval a comma b such that f dash of c equal to 0. So f dash of x already we calculated, right? So this is f dash of x. So here it is f dash of c in the sense, wherever we have x, simply we have to substitute as c. Okay, simply we put it as c. So that's why simply I wrote here c minus a whole power m minus 1 and c minus b whole power m minus n minus 1 into m plus n into c minus mb plus na. So this is nothing but this is equal to 0 and this is equal to 0. So from this simply what we can write here, m plus n into c, so this is equal mb plus na, mb plus na. So then c is equal, there it is multiplying, when it comes to this side that is divide. So mb plus na by m plus n. m plus n. Okay, so C is equal mb plus na by m plus n. So there it is, which represents a point that divides A and B internally in the ratio m is to n. Section formula. Okay, this is, so don't need to write this one also. We got it as here section formula. Okay, mb plus na by m plus n. So this is obviously lies between A and B. Why? Because m and n are positive integers. You can take any values A and B and you can substitute. So very important problem this is. Okay, so C value like this you should calculate the value of C. Okay, so the hence Rolle's theorem is verified. Okay, so this is the process. Okay, so numerator they wrote e power x. Okay, e power minus x sin x or sin x by e power x. Okay, so how to see that? Here they mentioned a is equal to what? A equal to 0 and b is equal to what? Pi. So here the interval a is equal to 0 and b is equal to pi. Okay. Now first we need to check the conditions of Rolle's theorem. What are the conditions? First of all, the function must be continuous one. So here it is. Sin x is a trigonometric one and this is a continuous. Okay. And e power x exponential function, this is also continuous in the interval 0 comma pi. It means simply you can substitute any value between in the interval in place of x. Sin 0 is nothing but sin 0 0 and sin pi is also 0 and e power 0 is nothing but 0 and e power pi is nothing but that is also some value. Okay, we never getting any infinite one. If you are getting infinite value, then we'll say that that is not existed. Okay, and here it is. If you see that there a function existed and continuous we are saying. So next, sin x and e power x are derivable and sin x by e power x is also derivable. And next, third condition. What about third condition? F of a is equal to f of b. F of a is nothing but f of 0 and f of b is nothing but f of pi. We should show that these two are equal. So here it is. First I am calculating f of 0. So which is equal, so sin 0 by e power 0. Sin 0 is nothing but what? 0 and e power 0 is nothing but 1. So 0 by anything is 0. Next, f of pi. So f of pi is equal. So simply I can substitute in place of x as pi. So sin pi by e power pi. So sin pi is nothing but 0. 0 by e power pi. So 0 by e power pi is also 0. And don't think as always you should get 0, 0 only. Okay. You may get different values also. Suppose I got it as 2 and here also I got it as 2. Okay. Unfortunately, what we are solving the problems, we are getting as zeros. Okay. So here I got it as f of 0 is 0 and f of pi is also 0. Then this one also existed. Okay. So three conditions satisfies of Rolle's theorem. So simply we can write all the conditions of Rolle's theorem are satisfied. Okay, then we can apply verification. There exists c belongs to 0 comma pi such that f dash of c equal to 0. So here I am applying directly derivative for that. So here it is, f of x is equal to what? F of x is equal sin x by e power x. Sin x by e power x. Okay, so this is quotient rule we should apply. What about quotient rule? So d by dx of uv, so u by v, sorry, d by dx of u by v formula, v into u dash minus u into v dash by v square. Okay, this is the formula we are going to apply. Here it is f dash of c. It means that here it is in place of x as c if you are taking. Apply this formula. So v is nothing but here it is e power x and u is nothing but sin x. Okay, first v you can write as this. So I wrote v as this e power c. And next u dash, the derivative of sin x is nothing but cos x minus u as it is. U is nothing but sin x. Of course, not, we should not write x c. So sin c and cos c. And next v dash e power x derivative e power x only. That's why e power c by v square. So v square is nothing but e power c whole square. A power m whole power n is nothing but simply what we can write a power mn. So e power 2c. That's why I wrote here e power 2c. Got it? This one quotient formula we applied. Sin x derivative is cos x, and e power x derivative is e power x only. Okay. Now what we have remaining? So if you observe this, in that, so if you observe this, in that, which one is the common one? E power c is the common one. So you can take e power c as common one. What will get remaining? Cos c minus sin c by e power 2c. So e power 2c in the sense, simply what we can write? E power c into e power c. So these two cancel. Okay, so which is equal to 0. So that's why I wrote here cos c minus sin c by e power c is equal to 0. So e power c should not become 0, only at minus infinity. Okay, so only at minus infinity it becomes 0. Here it is. What about remaining? Cos c minus sin c is equal to 0. Cos c minus sin c is equal to 0. And then, so I am keeping minus sin c is this side and cos c that side. So minus sin c is equal minus cos c. So minus minus cancel, and then take this cos into this side. Sin c by cos c is equal to 1. Sin c by cos c is equal to 1. And then sin c by cos c is nothing but tan c. Tan c is equal to 1. When tan become 1, at which value tan become 1? Tan pi by 4, right? Tan pi by 4 is equal to 1. Then c is equal to what? C is equal pi by 4. This is the value I got it. Now, is this lies between 0 and pi? So this is the interval, right? What they give the interval? 0 comma pi. Is this the value lies between this interval or not? 0 to pi is nothing but, obviously, pi by 4 lies inside. So c is equal pi by 4 is belongs to 0 comma pi. So therefore Rolle's theorem verified. So whatever the value you got it here, that value should lies between this interval, then only we'll say that Rolle's theorem verified. Okay, if suppose this is not, I got it as c is equal to 2 pi, simply what I will write? Not equal to, sorry, this is c equal to 2 pi, I got it, then does not belongs to 0 comma pi. Okay, does not belongs to 0 comma pi, Rolle's theorem cannot be verified. Like that we'll say that. Okay, if it is lies in that, then only we'll say that verified. If not equal, if not in this interval, then we'll say that not verified. Okay.